Hey y'all. It's gonna be a different format for tonight, so I hope you guys enjoy this. Been snowing for a few days. Building's cold. It's been kind of crazy here working on different things, so decided to do something a little different and something we've been wanting to try to work on anyway. So we're working on new sound equipment, working on new cameras, that kind of thing. But one of the other things we wanted to really get good at, when we wanted to work on, was trying to get this to where we can pre-record a show, post it, and then you guys can just come back and watch it when we get to that point. So we're going to do that today, tonight. All these roads are going to refreeze. It's going to get kind of slick out there again. So at 7 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be sitting at the house while we're all watching this, which is now at 7 o'clock because we're watching the show. And I'll be just commenting on the show. And I want you guys to comment, tell me what you think of the new format. Did accidentally let the initial video yesterday slip out and didn't mean to. But you guys that got to watch that got to see a little bit of what it's going to look like. Hopefully I made a few improvements today with some volume things. And so that it's going to be a little more concise and a little bit more set up. So I hope y'all enjoy it and look forward to presenting a little different format for the show. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about tournament news, what's going on this week. You guys all know Jimmy went fished the Major League Pro Circuit Tour last week at Lake Okeechobee. So he finished 53rd, great finish. Turns around, leaves, goes straight out to Guntersville. He's fishing the Toyota Series at Guntersville. Delayed up by 1 day because of weather and everything. Had a great day yesterday. He was in first place, 23 pounds, 7 ounces. Today he is weighing in about 315. I won't have those results for you, of course, because we're recording this earlier. But we're rooting him on, hoping to see him continue in this first place position he's in now. At least maintain really close up there, so give him a shot on day 3 to kind of really do well and win this thing. So you guys be rooting him on. I've seen a lot of folks on Facebook doing it this week, so I appreciate it. We'd love to see one of our local guys doing well, especially one of our sponsored local guys, and we're rooting Jimmy on. So another big deal went on this weekend. Pickwick Winter Trail had their final tournament of the year, their championship. Congratulations to Mark Davis and B. Williams. They won it with 25-21. Mark's a regular customer here in the store. We appreciate him. Love having him in here talking to us here and there. Trying to get him on the show here soon. Love to have him on. We tried to get them on last year and just never could kind of work out a date for it. So hopefully we'll get that done this year. Another M. Swider, White, they finished second with 23.57. TJ Edwards and Camden Lewis. Y'all saw Camden on here a few weeks ago. They won one of them. It's one of my old high school kids. He ended up with 1993. So they finished third. And then Pennington and Rye finished fourth with 1923. TJ and Camden had big fish of the tournament with 6.53. So great finish by them. Special congratulations to T.A. Cook and Mike Roach for winning Angler of the Year. That's as big a deal as winning the tournament, really, just because they have their year paid for next year. They'll get into all 6 tournaments for free. So congratulations to them. Another team that does really well on a regular basis, some of the Pickwick pros. So, but these guys had a great tournament. That cold tournament, I was really surprised at how many largemouth were caught versus smallmouth. I expected to see more smallmouth weighed in than were, but some great bags. So fishing's still good. It's tough out there. It's cold. I know it is, guys, but the fishing is good. It's a great time of year to go catch that biggest fish of the year. A lot of people catch their personal best in January, February, early March. So great time. Don't discount it just because it's a little cold. So great time to get out there and do it. Coming up this weekend, the Bass Yackers guys are all going to be over on Watts Bar. Not all, but a bunch of them. Matt Skelton, Justin Patrick. They're going to be on Watts Bar this weekend fishing the Hobie event. So good luck to them. Hope they do well. I know they're traveling today, trying to get over there. So hope to see them do well in that event. Also, what else? Coming up in 2 weeks, we'll talk more about this next week. But on the 27th, the St. Jude Bass Trail is having their first small, fundraising tournament on the 27th at Pickwick, and then on the 28th will be the Puddle Jumpers will be at Pickwick fishing their event, and then on at Pickwick as well at State Line. So you can get more information on Facebook for either of those. I'll try to post something on both of them here in the next couple of days. And then also you've got the West Tennessee Bass Shackers will be on Gibson County Lake for the first kayak tournament of the year here in the Mid-South. And looking forward to that one. I'm planning on being there for that, and maybe for Puddle Jumpers. Not 100% on that one yet, so just have to see how that goes. But me and Justin just got back from Seminole. Tournament season's already started, guys. There's already a lot of guys out fishing tournaments right now. There's already a lot going on. So, but it's here. So get out, watch, see what's going on. If you got questions on any of the tournament trails or anything, let me know. I'm happy to answer those. Know everybody from Peanut to Steve to pretty much all the tournament directors in the area. So be happy to help you or answer questions on any of the clubs or any of the local tournament scenes. So what are everybody catching fish on right now? I mean, one of the big baits, Jimmy's been, I think, a jerkbait played a role last week for Jimmy. I know a jerkbait played a role for me and Justin both at Seminole. We fished Seminole last week in South Georgia for the first Hobie event of the year. And, me and Justin did really well, finished 18th, got a good check. For 18th place, got a $700 check. So, finished just in the money, but good finish for him regardless. You can see some of my fish here and me out here freezing to death. It wasn't that bad. It's a heck of a lot warmer than it was here this week. But, but still bundled up. You can see the winds blowing. I was out fishing the mouth of a creek at that point, and fishing a little rock pile and really catching some good one. I caught a good one, a 6.5 pounder. Just couldn't put anything in the boat with it to amount to anything. So, but still a fun trip. Enjoyed getting out there and catching them, and look forward to the next one. I'll probably be at Watts. Broken Bow will probably be my next one in March. Still debating on the Lake Fork tournament with the Bassmaster group. May not fish that one just because it's a one-day tournament and it's a long ways to drive for one day. But you can see here, there's one of my good ones right there. White fish got a lot of white in it. There's another one. I mismeasured that one. You can see the mouth is open just a little bit right there, and what that does is it got me a little bit of a deduction. That's my fault. I submitted the wrong picture. It happens. It's one of those pieces that you kind of got to get good with fishing these darn kayak events. You can see right there, that was one of my punching fish. It's got hyacinth on both sides of the boat right there, and that's what I was punching through to catch some of my fish, and caught them good in practice doing that. Didn't do as well in the tournament itself. It got cloudy. Those fish don't react as well, so I ended up catching most of my good ones on a jerkbait. There's one of Justin's good ones. You can see that grass. Looks like freaking fescue growing on the side there, over the top of that hyacinth. That stuff was hard to punch through. We had to use an 1.5 ounce, 2 ounce weight to even get through it. So, but it was an interesting tournament. Enjoyed my trip to Lake Seminole. Look forward to going back again in the near future. But I wanted to post some pictures. We didn't get pictures on there when I had Justin on here last week, so I want to get some pictures on here for you guys to look at, and so that you guys could see it and see kind of some of those pictures from the event. So. Anyway, hopefully we're going to try to do a better job of that next go around and have some better picture and video from the next event. So you guys be looking forward to that. Hopefully they're going to bring me back some good video from Watts Bar and some good pictures, and hopefully those guys will do well. So, but speaking about a jerkbait, great bait to fish this time of year. I released a jerkbait video on YouTube. We're going to watch it tonight too. But Jimmy sat down with me before he left for Okeechobee, spent some time doing video on jerkbaits. I think there's some really good information in here. We've got some really positive feedback from the YouTube site. So go like the Mid-South Bass Fishing YouTube. I'm going to be posting some new stuff there very regularly for the next little bit. So I want you guys to kind of like it, share it, subscribe. Make sure that you're pushing it out there to some of our other friends. We really need to grow that channel for me and Jeremy both. We need to grow the White Bass Tackle channel as well. So we're trying to kind of really push those two pieces over the next little bit. And that's one of the reasons you're going to see a lot of better video coming out. Working on new cameras. We built out the new stage. Still working on some stuff here too, decoratively wise. But we got some new stuff coming right here as well. So hope you guys enjoy this next video. I'm going to show, and this is kind of a direction we want to go. We want to be able to have these things pre-done, have commercials pre-done, have it to where, you know, Jeremy can come in, do a video in advance. Jimmy can come in, do videos in advance. We can incorporate them in the show, and they don't even have to be here. You know, Jeremy was supposed to be at Ross Barnett this week fishing the first Phoenix Bass Fishing League tournament of the year, but it looks like they've canceled that one and pushed it back to March, mid-March on Pickwick. Didn't hurt his feelings at all, I promise you. But but you know, just in order to kind of cut down, we wanted to try this week. This was a great week to try it with the bad weather we've had. Got the porch cleaned off at SY, but we still got a lot of work to do. But here's a good interview with Jimmy on fishing jerkbaits, and I hope you guys enjoy it and pick up some information from it. Hey y'all, welcome again to another segment of the Primary Tackle Tips and Tactics. Continuation of a bunch of stuff that we're going to be doing over the spring, so we just wanted to kind of bring out our buddy Jimmy today. So he's here. We're going to do a video real quick on jerkbait fishing. When, where, what's the setup, those kind of things. So let's just kind of start it with, you know, Jimmy, when do you pick up a jerkbait? What clicks in Jimmy's head and says, now's when I got to do it?
Yeah, well, that's a broad spectrum. You know, a few years back I would have told you when the water's below 50 or
right.
55. Now, it's any day of the year. I've come to find out as I've started traveling around the country fishing more. But for this area, this time of year, a jerkbait shines. The water temperature, low to mid 40s, you know, all the way up to especially that 50-degree mark. That's when a jerkbait around here is really prime. What you want for a jerkbait is you want a little bit of water clarity. That's one thing that you're going to need. I've caught them in pretty stained water, but you need to be able to see that bait 4 or 5 inches at a minimum.
Right.
The clearer the better. The farther those fish will track the bait. You can let it sit and get those bites on a long suspend in wintertime. But you know, the really what I'm going to start with in a jerkbait is, of course, we've got a couple of baits here that I really like. One's the Rapala, the X-Rap. This is, I don't want to say wrong, but I think the 8, and then there's the bigger model than this one I really like throwing. It mimics a big bait fish. Here's a Lucky Strike, a neat little bait with a lot of rattle to it. This one actually is going to rise above a dead suspend, so that's really good for fishing around grass and stuff like that. And then another one that you can really get some erratic action out of is that KVD from Strike King. They come in a lot of good colors. I really like to put a feathered treble on them if I'm letting it sit for a long time.
Yeah.
If I'm really working it and trying to get those reaction strikes, then I feel like I get a little more left to right, side to side, erratic action out of a bait without a feather on it. The setup that I'm going to use normally is, I really like a rod that's shorter than 7 foot, because with me being right at 6 foot tall, popping that rod tip down, I slap the boat a lot and even slap the water a lot if I get over up to 7 foot. So I like a 6'9", medium action. Now the line, a lot of people think I need to throw a jerkbait on 8 or 10 pound test like it's just super finessey. Not the case. If you look back to my tournament last year at the Harris Chain, I was throwing a Megabass jerkbait, a big half-ounce jerkbait on 16 pound test. The reason I did that was because I didn't want that bait to dive so far. I wanted to have it up in the water column to just basically skim over the top of the eelgrass and the hydrilla. So, but for really cold water conditions, if I'm twitch, pause, letting it sit, maybe counting to 5, then I'm going to definitely throw it on 10. I've even gone down to 8. The lighter, the better. You get more bites, but you hang a 6 pound smallmouth with all those hooks, and he's hung outside the face, and he's rolling, then, you know, 8 pound test line's tough to deal with. So 10's a really good medium there.
Right.
A high speed reel is pretty important, and you don't necessarily have to have a 10-to-1 or something like that, but something at least in the 7s, because you're just going to work yourself to death if you have to turn that handle more than about once or twice to take up your slack.
Right.
So you want to be able to twitch that bait on complete slack, and that's where I really learned. That's where a jerkbait shines.
Yeah.
It's not a pull. Now I have done that in really cold water, just basically making that bait roll.
Right.
That Rapala
Right.
is really good on just making it roll and stop. But when you're trying to get that bait to dart, pop the slack out of your rod. You want to be able to just make a couple of turns of the reel handle, pick that slack up, let it sit. That way you've got control over your bait.
Right.
A lot of times you just go to pop it again and it's heavy.
Yeah.
You set the hook. So,
I a lot of times I'll line watch just like I'm worm fishing
Yep.
or something, because all you'll see is a boop,
yeah, just a little tick.
just a little tick.
Mhm.
It's just like, oh, there's one. And you
Mhm.
just reel into it, and and that's another thing is fishing with that lighter 10 or 12 pound line. No real hook set.
Lean into
Lean
it.
into it and keep reeling, and,
Yep.
and I keep a little looser drag
Mhm.
typically when I'm fishing a jerkbait for that purpose.
That's right. Make sure your hooks are sharp. That's ultra
Important.
important. Some people will go with a wide gap style hook on the back. I'm a fan of that. If the fish comes from the back and nips at it, the wide gap hooks are gonna combat those fish better when they jump or things of that nature. But never have a wide gap hook. You want a round bend hook on the front. The reason for that is when those fish slap. If I had a wide gap hook on here, I could run my hand across it and it may not even catch my skin.
Okay.
That round bend hook on the outside of the mouth is always gonna stick those fish. So that's a big deal there for me. Back to the retrieve. When the fish get active, what I noticed a couple of different times, it really made a difference in Florida, was fishing that shallower grass. I would work that bait with my rod tip down, and I'd move it 8 or 10 pops, and I wasn't letting it really sit. I was just pop, pop, pop,
Right.
pop, pop. And when I would want to try to lift that bait to maybe get it out of the grass a little bit, or just raise my line and raise my bait up in the water column a little bit, I would give it a couple pops with my rod up.
Right.
And I bet I came to realize about 70 or 80% of my bigger bites were coming when I would pop it up. Well, what you have is a bait. It's a sight bait.
Right.
Fish see that flash, they feel it, but they see that flash, that erratic action. They're bad about following it. So if you knew how many 6-pounders followed your jerkbait, you'd probably cry. But
Yeah.
when you give that bait a steady back and forth, and then all of a sudden it darts towards the surface, reaction.
Right.
They can't stand it.
That
So
makes sense.
that's a big tip there. Where to throw it, this time of year, I think of Pickwick, I think of bluff points, pea gravel, current breaks, stuff like that. Maybe a bar with some old submergent grass on it. Even around wood brush piles, it's really great. And you can throw it. You can throw, this Strike King that on 12-pound line you're getting it. Let's say 4 foot deep on a really long cast. You can throw that bait in 15 foot of water and catch fish that are relating fairly close to the bottom. So
yeah.
don't be scared to throw that jerk bait in water deeper than what you generally would think of if you're throwing a crankbait or a trap or a spinner bait or something of that nature. Grass, it really shines in grass. People look at that bait with all those hooks and think, why would I throw that around grass? If you've got the right setup and you've got the right line, the right rod, the right bait, and you know your grass and you get familiar with where that bait is in the water column at what range of your cast. If I make a really long cast and I work it with my rod tip down, then I'm going to get it 4 foot deep. And then you get to where you feel that bait on the retrieve, and you can feel how deep it's getting. And then you lift it, maybe start working it with your rod tip up a little bit, and then work it back down. Once you get that feel for it, you can keep that bait, in a zone right above that grass. And it's a bait that I feel if you get around pressured fish, grass fish, and it's one of those deals where you just hunker down and you let a Senko sit for 10 seconds at a time, and you get a bite every now and then, or you're having to throw a little finesse swim bait or trying to do something different from stand out from the crowd, the jerk bait will get you bites. I caught them at Erie on some deeper grass, and that was 100% the best bait. There was a lot of boats around. I could go behind somebody that was throwing a chatterbait and catch 2 to their 1 on that jerk bait. So that's the hooks. You can upsize hooks. Be careful. especially if you get into some of those really technical jerk baits, like a mega bass, for example. You go to changing hooks, and it'll really change the action of that bait. That bait's designed to have a perfectly suspended pause to it, and you get to changing hooks, and it'll change the way it noses up or down, which sometimes is a good thing. But you be careful upsizing hooks. Make sure your hooks are sharp. In the wintertime, put you a feather on the back. If you're really trying to get after some schooling fish or reaction bites, take that feather off. Have the right rod and reel set up, and you'll catch fish on a jerkbait.
Perfect. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Jimmy is our Major League Fishing Pro Circuit Pro.
There we go.
For the Mid-South. I'm still trying to get used to all these new circuit names and stuff, but thank you, Jimmy, for coming out today. And, also one of the guys, founders of Black Bass Tackle, great friend of the store. And we really appreciate everything Jimmy does. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, David.
Hey, so I hope y'all enjoyed that piece of the video. I think Jimmy did a really good job of, in a short amount of time, explaining how to fish a jerkbait and how to make it work the way you want it to work. There's some more idiosyncrasies to it, even more so than that. We could take a whole hour, 2 hours, and really to cover everything. So it's one of those things that I wanted to keep it kind of short, keep it basic to start. But as we kind of go forward, we're going to do longer videos. We're going to do different little pieces. We're going to talk about cadence. We'll talk about different things. And it might not be this year. It might be over the course of the next year. But we're going to do different videos on different pieces, and that's one of those things that we really want to push as we go forward. So it's something that we're going to have to keep working towards. So again, still working on some sound quality. One of the things we've been working on is making sure that the mix on the microphone is doing a little better. But let me know what you think of this format. How are y'all liking the way this runs? Is it better? Is it not as good? Do you miss the interaction? Could you sit and watch a 30 or 40 minute video like this without it being too boring? I want your input. So but we're gonna use these basically for when we are out of town or we can't be here for whatever reason. But we may do an installment. I guess it's a once a month thing where it may be a 1 hour show that we just post up on the websites or wherever. So I want you guys to kind of think about it and be looking at it and let me know what you think. Next piece is we want to do a little jerkbait video. We want to start showing some fishing videos within the show. Some of them are going to be little short clips, some of them are going to be longer clips. This is an oldie but a goodie. You guys have seen this one before. So this is one from our old Mid-South Bass Fishing Archives. It's set 5 or 6 years old. But I thought it was a great mix with having just talked about jerkbaits. It goes into some wheres and whys and hows and on an applicable body of water here locally, which is Pickwick. And this is some fish I caught and won a tournament with a long time ago. But I thought it was a good video to put in. A lot of you guys have seen this video before, so sorry if it's a little repetitive, but you're going to hear me start talking here in the old video here shortly. So just enjoy and let me know if you have any questions. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the Mid-South Bass Fishing and Primary Tackle YouTube. Got a nice little video here on spring jerkbait fishing. This one was filmed at Pickwick Lake. Water temperature was about 52 degrees, and that's kind of what you're looking for in the spring for that bite, is that 48 to 54 degree water. Nice little warming trend. You get 2 or 3 really good warmer days together, and those fish start thinking about, those bait fish start moving to the surface and bass start feeding on the surface. This was one of those days I got kind of lucky and had been checking out the back of a creek and headed up towards the front, and I just looked over and saw a bunch of gulls feeding on shad. And it's right there at a point, just right in front of a big spawning flat. So, it's one of those nice little transition areas that you're looking for in the spring. In springtime, you're looking for secondary points, channel banks, anything close to a spawning flat that provides some deeper water, but still close to even deeper water. So you want that nice little secondary in between place, and it can be a bluff wall, it can be a gravel point that comes out, but you want it to be kind of somewhere in between that deep winter spot and that spring shallow flipping area, that where you're gonna go catch those fish on the beds and stuff. So this was a good little day for me. I mean, I managed to catch about 22 pounds on this jerk bait, and it was kind of a key deal where I got a little lucky and then made some good decisions. When I pulled into this area, I was fishing with a regular 110 mega bass. They're medium sized jerk bait, and really wasn't catching any fish. I mean, I could see some big fish boiling here and there, and threw a swim bait, threw a chatter bait, threw a few other things. I just never could really get them on a spinner bait or anything like that. But then I caught on that little 110. I caught a big old skipjack, and that kind of told me that, hey, wait a minute. That's what they're eating on. They got these big skipjack hemmed up right here, and they're really kind of keying on this bigger bait getting ready for spawn. So I stepped up to the 110 Magnum, which is a little bit heavier, a little bit bigger bait. It's a slow suspending bait, slow sinking type suspending bait, and threw it out there. And the second cast, I think it really was, I caught a 4-pounder. And that's when I picked up the camera and put it on the boat and fished around for a minute. Didn't catch one, but then I started catching them. And over the course of this little 7-minute video, I catch 3 fish that weigh in at close to 14, 15 pounds, which was key to me winning this tournament. But you kind of have to try some different things when you're fishing for these fish. You can see I'm fishing it pretty fast today. I mean, we'd had a nice little warming trend. They were active. They were blowing up all over. This is the bigger fish that I caught. That's about a 6 1/4. I think it won big fish of the tournament as well. But it was just one of those days when you could move that jerk bait pretty quick. But I count down a jerk bait sometimes as many as 10 times in between a pause. As much as 10 seconds, 15 seconds, depending on how fast they want a bait moving. Sometimes they don't want it moving at all. And so you have to be kind of making some middle notes as you fish and make sure you're fishing for the right speed. But you just kind of vary it up until the fish tell you what they want. You'll see this one right here. This is just a big, fat, pre-spawn female fish. She's got a big old gut on her, and she was eating good, and it really was a key day for me. So it really kind of helped me learn a lot that day about jerk baits and how fish react to them, and making decisions on sizes and that kind of thing. So it's something to really take note of and to kind of work your way through. I really caught most of this weight right here in one little bitty spot that I swear to you was not much bigger than a desktop or a tabletop at home. And it was there was a little Christmas tree right in between a secondary point and a creek channel that leads back into that spawning flat. You can see right back there in the background. And if you made the right cast, you'd catch one just about every time. You can see I caught that big one that I got hung up right here. And I'm literally going to get it unhung, and then my next cast I'm going to catch a 5 1/4. And it's just one of those days when they're just piled into an area, and I've done that more than once in the spring. So it's something, in springtime you catch a fish off of a little point, little gravel point or whatever. Make multiple casts to that area, because you can see this fish jumping on top of the water. But they'll set up in an area, and you'll catch more than one good fish in an area. So appreciate you guys checking this out. Hope some of this helped. If you have any questions, please let me know. follow the channel, share it, subscribe, and like the channel. Thanks. Hey, I hope you guys like that video. It's an old school. It's one we've done for a long time. It's a different video. It's one that we have used in the past for different pieces, but it's one of the favorites I've ever done. It's one of my best little trips. It's a great day for me. Just it was one of those hey, don't give up kind of things, because I had fished a BFL the day before, had only caught one 5-pounder that day, and that was the only fish I caught. Was frustrated. Almost didn't even go to that tournament. Jeff convinced me to go ahead and come because I had a place to stay and a meal that had been prepared, and so it was really kind of stupid not to go. So I went ahead and went, and wasn't even sure if I was going to get up and fish the next morning or not. But got up, went out, had a good time. That was a plan B. I mean, it was just simply I had went to the back of a creek. It was too muddy. Was headed back towards the main river. Was headed back towards boat ramp, kind of directionally. I was going to do some other things, and just happened to see some seagulls crash in the water, and went and caught them. And it was fun. Doesn't happen like that all the time, but every once in a while you get lucky. You notice the right thing, and that's part of it. I tell guys all the time, whether it's punching grass or whether it's out throwing crankbaits or whether it's just out fishing in general, be aware of your surroundings. It's important to be looking for seagulls, especially this time of year. It's important to be looking for herons, where they're feeding. If you don't see other life or activity, if you don't hear brim sucking at the bottom of a grass mat, I mean, the likelihood of fish being there is not very good. I mean, you need to have those other life forms. You need to have that other stuff going on, and that's what really, really makes for a great area. Justin, he was talking about last week on the show, having that biodiversity in the area that he was fishing at Seminole. He was not just catching bass. He was catching bass. He was catching crappie. He was catching some other the chain pickerel. He was catching other species of fish where he was catching his fish, and that's how he knew he was in the right area, because there was a lot of different fish there eating on the prey fish that were there. So that's kind of an important piece. Always remember that. We talked a little bit about jerk baits. It's that time of year. Go out. Don't be scared to get out and fish, but be safe. Be it if you're in a kayak or you're in a bass boat or whatever you're in, take an extra set of clothes. Have an extra set of clothes in the truck as well. If you end up wet this time of year, it's cold, dude. It is not going to be pretty. So have some clothes to change into. Have a way to get warm. Some little warm packs, or some of a solar blanket. All those kind of things can help and can make a big difference. I mean, I've been in some situations where watched a guy at Heber and early in the spring, it's 40 degrees outside, fall overboard into 40-foot water off of a dock. Took me and 7 other guys to get him over the side of the dock. He was blue when we got him out. Pretty much, he was borderline hypothermic. About freaking killed him. There's so many things that can go wrong with a blink of the eye. He was just getting gas. I had one of the kids that I used to take fishing all the time, just step overboard on a boat on a nice cold spring day. We're 15 minutes from the boat ramp. But I had a change of clothes for him. We stripped him down, put him in some new warmer clothes, put a blanket over him, and rolled him back to the boat ramp. took him to the condo and let him warm up. I mean, you know, it doesn't take but just a blink of an eye for something to go wrong. So especially with it being as cold as it is right now, be safe. Be thinking along those lines of what can I do? Something goes wrong, how do I solve the situation? So that's my safety tip for the day. But you know, let's talk a little bit about what's going on. You know, we've had a crappy week with lots of snow and lots of ice and cold temperatures, and we've been closed all week. My expectation and my goal is to be open tomorrow at noon. So would love to see you guys this weekend. I'm going to warn you, the tackle shop is cold, and it will be cold for the whole weekend from the looks of things. We got propane, we got the heaters we'll be running, but you know, it's still going to be chilly down there. Even the store is chilly. I mean, this is an old building. It's been here for 130 years. There's cracks and crevices all over this darn place. So we've had some challenges with the heaters this week. Condensation pipe froze up. All kinds of different things going on. So it's just been crazy. I'm going to be happy to have some warmer weather next week. Looking forward to having the 50s and 55, 56, 58 degree temperatures that we're looking at for next week. It's going to be cool. It's also going to, you know, probably make half of the population sick. Here we go from 20s and teens and 20s to we're going to go into the 50s and 60s. You know how that goes in the spring around here. There'll be a bunch of sinus infections and respiratory stuff going on top of everything else that's going on in life. So, but you know, here at SY, still have plenty of gloves, still have plenty of long handles. Got coats on sale. A lot of clearance stuff coming up. So be on the lookout. Got the new Hook spring order in, part of it at least. So we will be the Hook apparel dealer here in Memphis, in the Memphis area, as of this year. So got a few of the sun shirts and some shorts already in. Order came in early. Not surprising. Vendors are really trying to get stuff in as early as they can this year. They did last fall as well, just trying to make sure to get everything done before anything else goes wrong in the world. But you know, so come check that out. On the tackle side, you know, we've been adding a lot of stuff. We're gonna have another video, and probably one of the segments for next week is gonna be about Rapala DTs. Great little spring crankbait. We'll talk about that a little bit next week, most likely. And you know, talking about Rapala DTs, we got a new chatterbait in. We've talked about it a little bit. The cross eyes from Z-Man that came in. We got our new chatterbait in, or our new bladed jig in. It's doing well. Got some great reviews on it so far from some people. So be looking for some of those kind of things. Be looking for an announcement. I had planned on doing it this week, but with everything that's been going on, we didn't end up getting it done. We're going to start a new little subscription service, or a new field staff program. But that's the way it's going to work. It's going to be a subscription service. We're always getting guys wanting to know, how can they help the store? How can we help build it up? It's one of the ways that we're going to be able to do it. I mean, if we could have a steady stream of income coming in on a monthly basis that we know comes in, month out, it would be awesome. And if we can get a subscription service together where you guys are putting, you know, $24, $25, $29 in on a monthly basis, I'm still debating on a final price. That would help us in having that secured income that comes in on a monthly basis. But what it'll also do is we're going to give you guys some perks and some benefits that not everybody will get. Everybody loves the show. It's a great show. We enjoy doing this every Thursday night. We do it for free. We do it just because we want to educate our customers. We do it because we enjoy doing it. It's fun. But we're going to do a special show once a month. It'll be a show like this that's pre-recorded. And when the subscription box goes out, that show will have, all right, here's the baits that are in the subscription box. This is how you use it. It'll be me, Jeremy, Jimmy, Justin, and we'll be talking about on particular lakes, out of particular boats, in particular situations, how to use those baits in that box. There's going to be some written instruction in there as well, and you'll get to see some stuff on that. How to order it is coming up. That's going to be a different website. But the other thing that's going to be included on that website, other than our normal product, it's going to be special pricing, and it'll be coded specifically for the guys that are doing the field staff program. So I think that's going to be something that's going to be kind of cool coming up. We're finalizing a few pieces this weekend, and I'm hoping to do the final announcement on Sunday or Monday morning. And so be looking for that, how to log in, how to subscribe. Everybody who subscribes is going to get stickers, hat. You're going to have access to some things that everybody else doesn't have. You're going to get some special discounts in the store or online. So for my guys that aren't here local and or maybe in wherever, Texas or South Carolina or Florida, or I mean, we've got guys from all over the country. Louisiana, we got a big following there. They'll be able to go online, place an order, get special pricing, and what we'll do is those items that we're going to have in that monthly box, there'll be a special price for those. So like a Rapala DT that's $9 may only be $8 for that person who's on that program. So if they don't get the color they wanted, they can order the color that a different color if it's something different that they wanted. So we're looking at doing that. We're looking at doing some special giveaways for those guys that are in that field staff program. We get a new bait in, we're gonna ship out some free product for those guys in that thing. So it'll be we're looking at probably $27.98 that way with taxes. Or $26.98 that way with taxes for my Tennessee residents. It'll be $30, but it's going to be a $35 value. So you're going to get some free stuff in there. When we have a new set of worms come through, a new plastic come through. If we get a new chatterbait, you'll get that freebie in there. So it'll be something extra and over and above what you normally get just coming into the store. So those will ship to you. We're going to give you guys the option to come pick it up if you'd rather. If you come pick it up, it'll be in a nice little presentation box most likely. If you have it shipped, it'll just get shipped to you in an envelope. But it'll be cool. So we're looking forward to that. That's kind of a new thing coming up. So you guys be looking for that. So we're at about 45 minutes. So that's, a good exit point, I think. Some of the things that are going on. So let's talk about some of the sponsors for the show. Michael Mulbauer at BA Motors, Jimmy and Jeremy from Black Bass Tackle. I mean, I couldn't do any of this without them too. I appreciate them and everything that they do. Mr. Billy Ross Dole if you need a guide for Pickwick, Kentucky Lake, or the Wolf River, he's your guy. Don't forget to get your crawl cane for your plastics. Larry Carroll at Central Defense Staffing, always been one of those guys that's been very involved with the old Hookbone crew. Josh Holly from the Kaizen Realty and the Josh Holly team, great. If you're looking for property in Fayette County or Shelby County, that's a great company to go through. We're always going to plug the store. That's what pays my bills. So that's why Wilson and Company. I can never forget Robert and the Winsteads. They gave us a new home and have given me a second career. So really helps me to pay the bills, helps keep me and Laura afloat, so that I can chase this little dream that I'm working on right now. So, but guys, we appreciate y'all watching the show tonight. If you know somebody that's interested in sponsoring the show, let us know. We're going to have a lot of new little pieces coming in. We're working on a deal for the Love's Le Bonheur Bass Classic. So, and Love's is another one of those places that is a big sponsor of what we do. Mr. Kevin Bray and his wife Amy are big sponsors for the Love's Le Bonheur Bass Classic. Without them, it wouldn't have grown to where it is. Tommy and BJ and David Thomason, their love for what they're doing right now is incredible. They do a great job of putting that program together and really working it. So be getting ready you need to be raising money for the Le Bonheur Legends piece. The St. Jude Bass Classic is another one coming up May 30th. Love's Le Bonheur is September 11th. St. Jude Bass Classic coming up May 30th. They're little fishing for the kids. Start fundraising for that. I mean, it's a good way to get some preferred parking, get some special perks as far as getting the blast off early and those kind of things. Raise some money. I mean, it's all for the kids. I mean, the Memphis if we have one good thing going for us here in the Memphis area, it's St. Jude and Le Bonheur. We have two really great children's hospitals here, and they've saved a lot of kids between the two of them. So let's be making sure that we're supporting those two groups and doing what we can do. So, but guys, thank y'all for watching the show tonight. We're hitting 47 minutes. I'm hope y'all enjoyed this format. Please, 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 let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys have as far as details and what you guys think as far as what we need to do different. I think this is a good format. I hope y'all enjoyed it. So let me know. I appreciate it, y'all.